Innovation, innovation, innovation. One word which has very different meanings to very different sections of the industry. And here to look at it from the funds industry is Roux. Eric, thank you very much for coming in.
You're welcome, Monica.
Now let's look at this word innovation from the aspect of the funds industry. How has it been implemented there, and what have been the different changes, would you say?
Well, the two primary areas, or actually three, where you can see change in the funds industry is from a product perspective, from a service provision perspective, so supporting the asset managers, whether they're small scale or large scale, and then the regulation, which is obviously a very hot topic at the moment across financial services.
Sure. If we look at the services side of things, first of all, how has that changed, would you say, over the years?
The big challenge with the services is that you have to bring everyone along. So on the one hand, you have to accommodate your clients or drive your clients, respond to their needs, show them that you're doing new things that are really interesting to them, because then they stay with you and they see that you're progressive. So you might be bringing in some true innovation, which is a fundamental change, or you may just be doing it sustainably, which is evolving. And I think that's where the biggest challenge is in financial services, particularly around the funds, which is a highly operational type of support.
But in terms of innovation, what challenges are experienced by this particular sector, would you say?
So I think that if you look at it from two perspectives, the first perspective is technology. So technology has changed dramatically. If I look back at some of the first research I did into funds, I discovered that in the 80s, Charles Schwab had become, or even the 70s, very famous for bringing out a journal, which was very much the size of a Barron's journal, or the AGFI, which you would find in Geneva, in the Romandie, the Guardian, and it's this format that you open like this and you can really read whether you're in a train or anywhere. And basically, it was all the data about all the funds that they sold on their open architecture platform, on paper. So along comes the internet, and during I'd say the 90s primarily, all of these asset managers, including Schwab and others that were competing with him, brought this into the technology world, which expresses itself as the sites that we all go to look for funds information, whether it's from the point of view of what's your competition doing or providing service to your clients.
So in order to react to these sort of changes that made the huge leaps in technology, different things like that, what other products would you say have been adapted or have been created? Because that is, innovation is, the aspect of creating different things, I guess.
Well, in parallel to this, and I think it's fair to say that the products evolve based on the demand from the investment managers who want to develop new products, different risk and return profiles. And then secondly, the service provision has to stay with that. So if those two stay in parallel, in the previous example of the internet, what you could have over the same period is, if I generalize, some traditional products like long-only equities, bonds, which were maybe balanced or mixed, looking for capital income, growth. And over time, as people looked for new product, higher return, or different sectors for diversification of their assets, you have different types of investment instruments that become part of these funds. So you might move from the traditional ones I've mentioned to something that's very specific to foreign currency, or very specific to real estate, and very specific to hedge funds as a category. So you over time have seen, as the technology platforms have evolved just to provide information and support the business, the investment managers have been continuously pushing to develop new products, whether they're niche asset managers or whether they're from larger groups, offering to their customers different types of products because they want to keep their customers basically happy, but also trying to provide better returns than their competition.
In terms of, that's something that I find a really interesting point. It's good to want to keep the customer happy, provide different options, but is it easy, or how easy is it to be able to pinpoint how innovation leads to success of different companies, and in terms of profitability, in terms of beating your competitors?
Fundamentally, I think it's the asset manager who comes up with the right product, who can deliver the performance. I really think that's key. So they're progressive and they come out with new things ahead of others. So we have an asset manager working with us who's come up with a very innovative solution to provide small and medium-sized businesses a place to work which is fully fitted out, which is lower cost than going to an existing building, and also quicker to ramp up and more tailored to their needs. So it's very innovative, it's new, you have to think of it, and there has to be a need. So I think that's the one thing. The second thing that goes with that, which I think is the third element where we've talked about the service provision and the product, is the impact of regulation. So maybe stepping forward a little bit, the other challenge that you see is there's a third element which progresses, which as the products become more varied, you implement a means to provide transparency to what's being done, to protect the investors, to look after investor interests, to make sure that you have a regulated financial system. So in the end, those three are the key elements of what evolves, and those new products are what drive the changes. So as the service provider, one of the big challenges you have is one is accommodating and helping your asset manager, who's your customer, bring in the new products and be successful with his or her customer. While the only thing they focus on is delivering the outcome. And what that means is you provide the means for them to have all of these changes which are sustainable or completely new, whether it's the internet technology for the support, whether it's coping with the regulation, whether it's implementing new processes and training your people to be able to deal with one product which might be a securities-based investment fund and another which is real estate.
It does seem as though success can be measured in very different ways, but innovation, I think, if you can first of all realise the options, realise the need and then adhere to them, is certainly a very interesting kind of evolving matter that's going on. But Eric, it's always a pleasure to hear your perspective and your experience. Thank you very much for sharing it with us today.
You're welcome, Monica.
Thank you. Well, that's all from Eric and myself for the moment. Click back to Dukascopy TV for plenty more exclusive interviews and, of course, today's press review. Goodbye for now.